Did you know that June is Caribbean American Heritage Month? Well, today we begin our celebration, and I have a very special guest in our studio. Stick around. All right, welcome to the 30. This is Patrick, your host. This month, the month of June, we are celebrating Caribbean American Heritage Month, a time where the achievements and dreams of millions of people across this wonderful country of ours with Caribbean origin, where we get to celebrate each other and honor our rich history from all over the islands, whether it's an English-speaking Caribbean island or French-speaking or Spanish-speaking. We get to celebrate and honor those that are doing, whether they're doing some positive things like business or religion or education, whatever they're doing, we get to celebrate millions of us across this great country of ours. And today I have a young man. He's certainly younger than I am, so I'm going to call him a young man. And I've seen him grown throughout the years. He's gone from being a student at RIT, doing his bachelor's, his master's. He's gone on to be an engineer. He's also a U.S. Marine veteran, and he is a face of reggae music in the community, reggae and calypso. And he's also now the president of the Rochester West Indian Festival Organization. Let's welcome Alan Babi Katt Perscod. Baby Cat, how are you, sir?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm good. Thank you for having me on the 30. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of days now.
Well, thank you for saying yes. Tell our viewers, I gave them a brief description or a brief bio of yourself, but you can do it better than me. So tell our viewers and listeners who you are and what do you do?
That is a lot. So I got to start off by saying, Patrick is always been very humble. So I'm going to start off by saying, is we thing. And Patrick, we're from the same place. So I will never let you live that down. Patrick, Patrick said you've watched me grow, right? But what Patrick alludes to is he's been one of those people in the Rochester community that has been more of a mentor to me, especially since we're from the same country, Barbados, and he's been like a big brother. With that being said, who am I? What do I do? I've always been a quiet, humble servant. Now, don't get me wrong. There's the wild side, the crazy side, the party side. But essentially, leaving back home and coming to the U.S. was a situation of better opportunity for me. I went to high school in Brooklyn for a couple of years and then came up to RIT to attend Rochester. Well, came to Rochester to attend RIT, not Rochester. Anyway, sorting that out, funny thing is, as long as I've been in the media, I still get tongue-tied a lot. And I say that to say that during my tenure undergraduate at RIT, I found WITR, and that led me into a media career that extended to several of the local radio stations. It took me down to Florida to work at a group of TV stations, not only as an on-air personality and a field reporter, but I've also been an engineer in that setting, from the IT guy all the way up to the chief engineer of a radio station and the assistant chief engineer of TV stations down in Florida. On the professional side, master's degree and bachelor's degree all in networking. I am an IT guy by trade, and the Marines thing, I was also the IT guy in there. So it's all intermingled, and it's all coming to a point of fruition where I'm able to give back to the community. And that's what's led me to step out of the shadows as a DJ, always DJing somebody's event or emceeing somebody's event, with people like Patrick and several others, Gary Thompson, and I can name a slew of other people in the community that have always said, you know, maybe one of these days you should consider stepping out of the shadows and taking the reins. It's finally happened, and it's come to a point of fruition. So now they're all looking at me wondering what I'm doing.
So yeah, so you have done a lot in a short period of time.
Well, 40 years is not a short period of time.
Well, it seems like you've done we've done a lot more than the average person have or would have. You've ventured into many different spaces, I should say, and you've accomplished and excel at all of them. Of course, we go through ups and downs, failures and success, but it looks like you've succeeded and persevered in everything that you've done. Let's talk about your journey. Let's unpack it a little bit, Kat, and talk about what made you come from Brooklyn to Rochester and attend RIT.
You know, the funny thing about it, as a staple in the community, and I hope that my fellow members of the community don't hold it against me, right? I love Rochester to death. I've been here over 20 years. Honestly, doing the math, probably closer to 30 now. I had no intention of coming to RIT. I didn't want to come to Rochester. RIT was actually my second choice. Unfortunately, I got waitlisted at my first choice, which was Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So MIT put me in the wait list, and I defaulted to RIT, came up here, and the rest is history. I've left the city 3 times now and come back 3 times. Yeah.
I think that's the story of everyone that came to Rochester, whether from New York City. I think that's the story, but yet we still stay here, right?
It is effective and efficient, and I'm saying that in being politically correct. But to break it down to brass tacks, and Gary, you're familiar with that show. I grew up listening to that show, and I know you've listened to it too. Down to Brass Tacks, we love that show back home in Barbados. But to break it down to brass tacks, it is cheaper to reside in Rochester, New York, and Monroe County right now as compared to many of the other cities around the country and around the world, and even within the state. Rochester has a pretty decent cost of living.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So you came up, and we're going to build here, folks. But if you have any comments or questions for Baby Katt, make sure that you drop them in the chat. We would love to hear from you. I'm sure he would love to hear from his friends. Shout out friends and foes alike. Also, do me a huge favor. Please like and share or repost this episode. If you're watching it from YouTube, certainly like it and share it, but also subscribe to our channel. If you're watching it on LinkedIn, like and repost. All right. So Kat, so you came to Rochester, you went to RIT, someone or something got you into DJing on the radio station. Where did you go from that point?
Well, I'm gonna backtrack and answer that something or someone. A good friend of mine, we were not roommates, but suite mates, J3O, or he's now going by Ryland the artist, but very good friend of mine, longtime friend of mine. He was on the hip hop show, and he saw me with all of these records and all this stuff in my room because I was already into music and already a DJ. And he said, "Hey, you've got to come down to the radio station and meet Mr. Bill and Father Cat, who were at the time the hosts of Reggae Sounds." And it was an instant connection, but I always pay homage to Mr. Bill Father Cat and Denise, Sister Denise, because they started the show, which is now Reggae Sounds, and I'm just carrying forward what they left. But the biggest connection between the three of them and me is they saw a young man that was up here essentially by himself at the time, and they helped me to stay grounded with my education. Meaning I could show up at the radio station, I can hang out and talk foolishness, but I could not play music unless my course load and my requirements for the week were done. So I always say thank you to Mr. Bill and Father Cat for that. And a lot of people don't see that or know that. They just say, hey, he's another DJ. But my growth as a DJ in Rochester was always grounded in me completing my bachelor's degree at the time. And
Awesome.
from there, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say from there, it led to a career working at one of the better known local radio stations, which stemmed out to me assisting several other radio stations in Rochester as an engineer or a part-time DJ or even a on-air personality as needed.
That's fantastic. You mentioned Sister Denise, and shout out to her and the late Mr. Bill. But the same way Denise started me years before that, because I connected with her when I was at Brockport and doing my show at Brockport, and she helped me also got started in the DJ business. So shout out to Sister Denise for being the foundation. So many people don't know that you are also an engineer by trade professionally.
Yes.
How did you get into being to the engineering field, and what type of engineer are you?
So I am what's considered a network or an IT engineer. Some people say an IT engineer that specializes in network, but I am a network engineer to the point where I have credentials and certifications and all those extra, as I call them, extra letters that could go behind my name that I don't use. And Patrick, you're going to frown at me because I don't use them, and I should. But essentially, what got me into that was I've always had a draw for technology. I was the child that would take apart anything and then try to put it back together and see it work. From the drill to whatever I could get my hands on, I was always at it with a screwdriver, and that just developed over time. I was fortunate enough for my family to get me a computer at a young age. So I had the insight to start getting into computer and coding and stuff like that in its early stage before we had the internet and all of that stuff. Fun fact, I still have an active working AOL account.
And you're brave enough to actually admit that too.
Yes. One, it dates me, but two, it shows how invested I've been in technology and how much I've kept my finger on the pulse of the changes in technology throughout my life, while also keeping up with the vast variety of music that comes out of the Caribbean. Because I don't only play reggae or dancehall, I play soca, calypso, zouk, compound, you name it, you give it to me, I'm gonna find a way to play it. And you know this.
Absolutely.
As
Sabrina,
a matter of fact, you were at an event the other night and you saw me play some of everything for everybody.
Exactly. Sabrina Tika, she's one of my mentors and advisor. She's from Guyana. Her and her family. She says no AOL.
And I see your mentions. And Sabrina, yes, I am fortunate enough to say that I used to write code in DOS with the 5.5 inch, the big floppy disk that every time you put it in before it would run, you had to write a little script to run that disk. Yes, I have done that.
Oh my gosh. And Sabrina is very technical too. So, and her business, her and her husband also have a consulting business that deals a lot with that type of business that you're in. So now you graduated from RIT with your bachelor's.
Yes.
Where did you go? Why go to your master's? Was that something that was always in the plan, or what happened there?
It was not in the plans. I graduated and I tried teaching for a year and it didn't work out for me. I at that point in my life, I didn't have the amount of patience that I have right now. And I was put in the classroom with 6th and 7th graders. And we all know that's when, I can only say it as we say in the Caribbean, that's when people start smelling themselves. I didn't have the patience for that, right? So I left that and I entered broadcasting, and the master's degree was more of a dare for the family, for the station that I was working for. You know, the mom, she's a diehard Jamaican, may she rest in peace. And she said she saw in me the potential to go further, and she dared me to get my master's degree. So I went back to school and got a master's degree.
Awesome. Awesome. And you're working for one of the premier firms, companies locally, but also nationally and internationally.
Yes.
Right.
And I will leave them unnamed, but yes,
Yes.
it is a very nice place to work. And I am fortunate enough that I work there, but I'm also in a situation where I get to interact with a lot of their customers. So I deliver custom tailored solutions directly to a customer.
Oh, wow.
They'll come in with a problem and say, hey, this is it. I have, the resources in-house to test it and work it out. Sometimes it is a email answer. Sometimes it is a phone call answer. Sometimes they have to come here and I walk them through it. And in some situations like recently, I go on site and I help them, or if needed, I can train their employees on how to implement the solution.
That's fantastic. And is it for local clients or national, international clients?
All of the above. Local,
All
well,
of the above.
no, let me correct it. Not local, mostly national and international. The local, when I say local, the Rochester-based customers have their own direct support because, again, it's a Rochester firm and we take care of our backyard differently than we take care of the national people or the international people.
Okay,
so that's
good.
a separate department.
Yeah, so it sounds like if you're doing very well professionally, Katt, and I know personally you're a superstar. You are, when people say Baby Katt, they know who it is, right? So a celebrity. So let's go ahead.
I never associate with that word. I never say superstar. I never say celebrity, any of the above. Am I well known? Yes. I've been in the community for several years, and all of those years I've been in entertainment capacity. I've probably DJ'd in every establishment or club you can think of around the city and county, and a lot of them throughout the state in the United States. It's a couple of international gigs. Well known, yes. The superstar thing is not me, and it's only because behind all of the glamour and the glitz, I tend to be a very introverted, quiet person.
Yeah, that I know about you for sure. Now let's pivot, talk about community. You are the most recent president of the Rochester West Indian Festival Organization. Tell us about that, and tell us about your responsibilities, and why did you take up the role to become president of the organization?
Well, let's start. It's the RWIFO is what we abbreviate it as. I've always been an active member, kind of behind the scenes. Of course, when they called on me to MC, DJ, whatever, when it came to a function, to use my professional capacity, I always showed up for them and made sure that I gave them nothing but my best. And as time progressed, I got more and more and more involved. I started helping out with more events, then started helping out with the website. And eventually, as you know, with any personal growth, what's behind the scenes eventually comes out, and somebody will say, okay, well, maybe it's your time to move this organization forward to the next level. The past president, she needed a vice president, and I happened to be at the right place in the right time, as I say, and she asked for the assistance. I offered that up. And then when elections came up, it was a natural progression because, as I'm learning, you should start training your successor while you're in that office, which is exactly what she did. So now the responsibility on me is to carry forward the organization which you were the vice president of. And part of that I've found is really becoming a student of the history of Caribbean culture in Rochester. And I would say in the last 6 months, I've found out so much from so many people about how the Caribbean atmosphere and environment in Rochester was, that I'm still amazed. So essentially, my responsibility right now is to carry out the goal of the RWIFO, or the mission of its founders.
That's great. That's great. And RWIFO has been around for a long time, and
Since
yes,
1983, November 1983.
yeah, Miss is it? Can't remember who started it. Not
We've got
can't.
Norma Tom, we've got Sonia Pascal Lodge, we've
No, that
got
was
Mr.
before that.
Simone, we've got a bunch of people. There was somebody
Yeah,
before that. I haven't
yeah.
gotten that history lesson yet.
Yes, yeah. This goes back years in terms of the original founder. I think it was Miss Mary. I can't remember the last name. If
Wow.
someone knows the last name of the original president, you can drop that in the chat. But they were original founders back then. Certainly some have passed on. But yes, I was actively involved in the organization for some years, and like you, did some MCing and never did a DJ thing, I don't think, for them, but the MC and the behind the scenes with Mr. Reynolds. He was the president. Bill Reynolds was the president at the time. And that's when the organization was really at its height in terms of functioning, right? Not just for CariFest, which is the Caribbean Festival here in Rochester, but so many other different things. And as you know from history, based on your research and discussions, there were individual islands that had their own organization, but all rolled up into RWIFO. So whether it's the organization of Barbados or Jamaica or Trinidad or wherever, we all had our individual organizations, but it all rolled up into the Rochester West Indian Festival organization. Yeah.
That was amazing to hear, because unfortunately now we're limited on organizations for people to express their culture, or people from the same country to get together. But that is the goal of the RWIFO, to embrace everybody from all of the nations we represent.
Awesome. So as we celebrate Caribbean American Heritage Month, let's talk about some of the things that your organization is doing in the Rochester, Monroe County areas. And I know you're partnering with a couple more organizations as well. Let's talk about what you're doing and what's the purpose of it, and what do you hope to get across to those that are local, that are watching, or those that may not be local but want to come in and assist and help out or be part of it.
Well, for those that are not local, for those that want to come in, whether you're heading east from Buffalo or west from Syracuse, you're more than welcome. Whether you're coming further than that, you're more than welcome. Come out and join us. But essentially, the goal of National Caribbean Heritage Month, from the stance of where we are, is to really educate the community on the fact that we are here. Fun fact is, Rochester, New York is home to the second largest Caribbean population in the state of New York, right? We are only second to New York City. There are a lot of Caribbean people in here, and not only from Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, Guyana. We've got contingents from everywhere. I was surprised at our flag raising ceremony the other day to meet a guy here, big public official. He's from Aruba. And with that being said, our goal is just to embrace and educate, especially during this month. Now, the collaboration started back in 2010, where we partnered with the Rochester Jamaican organization and the city of Rochester to further educate. In recent years, it's expanded to include Monroe County, right? One of the local radio stations, they run Caribbean blurbs, which are just short tidbits to educate their listeners on what the Caribbean is about and what each island represents. Short 30-second things. Hey, such and such from Montserrat, And there's a quick thing about Montserrat. And a good thing about that is it gives the sense of, hey, we are here, we're here to stay. Because a lot of us are doctors, lawyers, nurses, McDonald's workers, etc., bus drivers, and you just don't know. But we're here and we're a vital contribution to the Rochester area and Monroe County area. List of events?
Yeah, give us a list of events and touch on, because you don't have to be born in the islands himself. Your family could have been born there, but you're still part of the islands. So whether you were born there in the islands, French speaking, English speaking, Spanish speaking, Dutch speaking, or your grandfather, grandmother, auntie, great grandparent, whatever it is, you're still part of the Caribbean.
Very much so. Very much so. I agree 100%. You have those people, like Patrick said, that are born and raised there. You have people that are second, third, fourth, fifth generation. If you can trace it back somewhere in your heritage, you're more than welcome to join us. As a matter of fact, if you just like the colors from some flag and you say, hey, I like that flag, come find us at the RWIFO. It's just that simple. We will always have an open arms for anybody that wants to learn more about Caribbean culture from our 32 islands. Don't ask me to name them because I got most of them up here. We'll get to that in a minute.
That's the test after, right?
That's the
maybe
test
if
after.
if someone wants to tell us those islands and countries, because it's just not islands, they're countries as well. If someone wants to tell us those 32 that Baby Cat said, if you want to list them out in a chat, I will personally give you a gift, something from the Jackman Group, T-shirt or some merch. So
I'll add to that. If they get them all right and they are in Rochester or they want to come to Rochester on August 10th, I'll have 2 tickets for them to attend our annual Carry Fest.
All right. See, so there we go, folks. Put it in the chat if you can name all 32.
There you go.
Islands and countries: Spanish, French, English.
I'll give everybody a hint. The second one that starts with a B is Barbados.
There we go. Absolutely.
All the rest of them, you got to figure them out. But in terms of list of events, CARIFest is a culmination event that we get to later on in the year. But what we're doing for the month is we started off on June 1st, not the 3rd. June 1st was a Saturday. We had Ignite Reggae Band, which is our local reggae band. They do an amazing job. They performed. They did a kickoff performance at one of the local fairs. We went out and supported that. And then on June 3rd, in partnership with Monroe County and RJO and the city of Rochester, we were at the City Hall atrium. We had a kickoff press conference, and we did what we call the flag raising ceremony in the city. And this year, we've been given the permission, thank you to Adam Bello and his team over at the county, to also raise flags in the county building. So now if you're in Rochester, New York, you go into City Hall or you go into the county building, Monroe County office building, you will see all of the flags from all of the Caribbean islands displayed. Sabrina, you are almost there. You're almost there. You're almost there. I can read and talk at the same time. And then this Friday night, we're partnering one of our local Jamaican restaurants, Livy's Jamaican Restaurant, and we're going to have what we call a Caribbean link up there. You're getting there, Sabrina. We have what we're going to a Caribbean link up there, which is essentially just a get together. You know, in some islands they call it a link up, in other islands they call it a line. It's a social event. There's going to be light refreshments there. There are going to be games, and not games. We're playing traditional Caribbean games. I got the dominoes already. The dominoes are right behind me. They're going to be in the corner, slamming and everything.
Nice. I need a partner. If there's dominoes, I need a partner.
I play cutthroat, sir. I'm from Barbados.
We don't play. Man, you gotta play partners. Come on. I need a. If there's a dominoes tournament, count me in. I need a partner.
The dominoes tournament is something that we've always had to table because we have not had the full skill to promote it, but maybe that's something for 2025 that we'll work with you and the Jackman Group to get an official dominoes tournament during the month of June for Caribbean American Heritage Month. And Key, on Thursday, June 13th, we're having Caribbean movie night, and we're doing a screening of Barrow Freedom Fighter. And it's about the first Prime Minister of Barbados and his effort and fight to get our home country to become an independent nation, which happened on November 3rd, 1966. Wait, sorry, November 30th, 1966. Boy, my old teacher would have had my head for that. We've also got a family fun walk and ride that's taking place on the 15th at the Port of Rochester. We've got a costume making workshop to get people ready for CariFest 2024. That's taking place on the 15th as well. We've also got the second Caribbean link up at another Caribbean-owned establishment, the Sidebar. That's on the 21st, and on the 22nd, the RJO is having their golf tournament. So I'll be out there. I'm only on the driving range, Patrick. So don't look for me to be everywhere. I'm only on the driving range. And then we close out the month with a closing ceremony taking place at City Hall. That is on Friday the 28th. And at the closing ceremony, we'll have food, Caribbean-based entertainment, and last but not least, we will have Caribbean awards. We give out awards to people in the community that have helped to foster and improve our environment and us living in Monroe County. Some of the awards include an award for business excellence. Another one is for lifetime achievement. There's a champion award. There is a community service award. And of course, we have one for youth excellence to highlight that generation that may not have been born in the Caribbean, but their parents are of Caribbean descent, and they're living up to, for lack of better words, our Caribbean standard, because our Caribbean heritage, it sets the standard very, very high. And Sabrina, you are welcome to come to Rochester anytime you want. August 10th, that weekend would be a great weekend.
Great.
And
what I didn't hear you say.
I'm also pushing for one other thing for Caribbean American Heritage Month to close it out, because it ends on a Sunday. And Patrick, you're going to laugh at this. I'm pushing for it. It's tentative right now, but I would like to do a Caribbean church service on the last day of the month.
All right, because I was just going to ask you about that. I heard everything else, but I didn't hear anything mentioned about church. So I was gonna ask you and hold you accountable, because being from the islands, right? Churches and going to church is very important to us. So we want to make sure. Yeah. So if I can help with that part of it, let me know. Okay.
Good. Works for me.
All right. Kat, is there anything else that you would like to share? And Sabrina, yeah, please come on up. You need to visit us. Come on up and join us. As Kat said, when is CariFest again?
CariFest takes place August 10th.
August 10th.
Okay. August 10th at Dr. Martin Luther Memorial Park at Manhattan Square. For more information, log on to rwifo.org.
I was just going to ask you that in terms of how people will be able to contact you or contact the organization. Where are the activities for this month listed also on the website?
They're all listed on rwifo.org under events. If you go there are images and text that describe what each image is for, and it tells you exactly what you're looking at. You click on the image or the text, and it'll give you a detailed breakdown, including a map with a location to where activities are taking place.
Great.
And I know the guy that's doing the website, so I know it's up to date.
Maybe that guy's you.
Possibly, quite possibly.
So make sure, folks, you go to rwifo.org. Let's be intentional in participating, supporting, and celebrating this month, Caribbean American Heritage Month. Let's also make sure that we support CariFest in August. Come out and enjoy and have lots and lots of fun. Learn about your culture. It's important to learn about where you came from, or where your grandparents came from, or great grandparents came from. it's important you learn about your culture. So, Kat, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for everything that you do and everything that you continue to do. Yes, Sabrina,
I'm laughing at it. And Sabrina, I had this conversation I know we're going over. I had this conversation a couple of days ago, Sabrina, and people were asking me, well, how come Guyana is counted, but Suriname is not counted? And then somebody said, well, Guyana's not even at the end of the island chain. Venezuela is. I said, look, they are tokened in, let them be, because they have been a great help and benefit, especially to those in the Leeward Islands or the Lesser Antilles. Just leave it at that.
Yeah, and some of us have family that are from Guyana, right? And Guyanese and Bajans are very close.
Very true.
So yeah, so great point. And Guyana is not an island; it's a country. So maybe we can do some history in terms of what is an island and what is a country.
Yeah.
Right? Because people may not know what the difference is between an island and a country. So all this is information that you can get by attending these activities that's this month in celebration of National Caribbean American Heritage Month here in Rochester. Go to your local state or local community across this country, and I'm sure that some organization is doing something for the month of June as we celebrate Caribbean American Heritage Month. So, Kat, thank you for being here. I can't let you leave, although we are over, but I can't let you leave without going through our rapid fire, where I'll ask you 4 or 5 questions without even processing it. I want you to respond quickly. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Macaroni pie.
Okay. All right, macaroni pie, of course. Favorite vacation spot?
You're gonna laugh at me for this one. Germany.
Oh wow, Germany. Now that's for another episode, another discussion. I imagine based on your military service, right?
Between that and the fact that I am the first African American ski patroller in the area, there are great slopes in Germany.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Last book you read?
The CCNA Cisco CCNA certification manual. It's about this thick.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. We talked about favorite food. Well, I know your favorite type of music. Favorite artists, musical artists.
Favorite musical arts? Jazz.
Artists.
Artist or band. There are 2 different ones.
All right. So go ahead, artist and band.
My favorite artist of all time is Bob Marley. My favorite band of all time is not the Wailers. It's Morgan Heritage.
Very nice. Very, very, very good. All right, Kat, you're off the hot seat. Any last words that you'd like to say to our audience?
No, but one day somebody's going to have you answer the same questions. I'm going to be the one.
No problem. I welcome it. So again, thank you so much. All the success for this month, you, the organization, and the Jamaican organization as well, and all organizations that are putting this together locally and nationally. So thank you for being here. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I look forward to the next time. I know it's coming.
All right. Absolutely. So we've been talking to Alan Babi Katt Perscod. Fantastic. He's doing his thing. I love his journey in terms of coming from the island of Barbados and what he's achieved and continue to achieve, and what he's doing within our community. Fantastic job. If you would like, again, to hear more about what's taking place within the Rochester community, within Monroe County, as it relates to celebrating Caribbean American Heritage Month, make sure you go over to rwifo.org and check it out there. And if you want to hear what's going on coming up in August as far as CariFest, that information is also there. Well, folks, that's about it for now. I want to thank you for being here. Remember, if you're watching from YouTube, certainly subscribe to our channel. We would love for you to do that. Like and share this broadcast. Until then, may God bless you and your family. We'll see you next week.